At the time the NBA shut down its season, Zion Williamson of the Pelicans, the rookie sensation from Duke, was leaving jaws slack and eyes popping. Here was a player not only meeting but exceeding ridiculous expectations. But now Williamson is at the center of a legal showdown between his former and current marketing representatives. The stakes are high, not only for the agents, but also possibly for Williamson's alma mater, its storied basketball program, and its iconic coach. Here's Mark Schlabach.
Last week, attorneys for Gina Ford, president of Prime Sports Marketing, filed documents in a Miami court requesting NBA rookie sensation Zion Williamson to admit or deny that he and his parents demanded and received gifts, money, and/or other benefits from persons on behalf of Duke University to influence him to play basketball there. Ford also asked Williamson to confirm that his mother and stepfather received payoffs from Nike and Adidas before he attended Duke, and that the family received benefits from an agent, all NCAA violations. The documents are part of a $100 million lawsuit that alleges that Williamson breached his contract when he dismissed Ford and Prime Sports as his marketing representatives.
With the first pick, the New Orleans Pelicans select Zion Williamson.
Ford's lawsuit was filed in June, just days after Williamson sued her in an attempt to void the marketing contract he signed soon after he declared for the 2019 NBA draft.
Alley-oop Zion! Lay it in good! From up top, Lonzo Ball!
One day after signing with Creative Artists Agency to represent him in player contract negotiations, Williamson fired Ford outright and had CAA take over his lucrative marketing deals. Williamson claims his contract with Ford was invalid under a North Carolina law designed to protect student athletes. North Carolina requires agents to be registered for legal authorization to represent athletes in contract negotiations and endorsement deals. Neither Gina Ford or Prime Sports was registered with the state. Also, Ford's contract with Williamson did not include a warning that he would lose eligibility to compete as a student athlete once he signed with Prime Sports, a requirement of the North Carolina law. But Ford argues that Williamson declared for the NBA draft and was therefore no longer a college athlete.
And for more, we are joined now by Mark Schlabach. And Mark, there's so much going on here right now. It's a developing situation, as they say. What's the latest with the lawsuits and the request for admission?
Jeremy, I spoke to 4 of Gina Ford's attorneys on Tuesday. They told me they are in the process of scheduling depositions and will, quote, leave no stone unturned in litigating this case. They believe if they can establish that Zion Williamson's mother or stepfather accepted benefits from somebody associated with Duke or Nike or Adidas or another agent, that the language in the North Carolina statute would no longer be relevant. I reached out to CAA and Zion Williamson's attorneys this morning. They all declined to comment. I think the next step for his side would be to file a motion and try to argue to the judge that these queries are not relevant, they're unfounded, and they're salacious, and that he shouldn't be forced to answer those questions.
Mark, we're accustomed to stories, agents and sneakers in college sports, but Duke, of course, has a different kind of reputation. No NCAA sanctions for the basketball program in almost half a century. What are the stakes here for the Blue Devils and Mike Krzyzewski?
I think they're high. If they're able to proceed with this case, I think certainly you could see Mike Krzyzewski be deposed. There have been other allegations about Zion Williamson and his family in the past. Duke officials keep referring me to a statement from last fall in which they said that they worked with the NCAA, they worked with the NCAA clearinghouse to establish his initial eligibility, and then when there were similar allegations made by celebrity attorney Michael Avenatti, that the school initiated another investigation and found no evidence of wrongdoing.
Mark, thank you very much. Thanks for your reporting. All right, Ryan Smith wearing his legal analyst hat today. He joins us now. Ryan, the request for admission. Gina Ford wants Zion Williamson to admit certain things occurred. How likely are we to see him actually compelled to do so?
Well, Jeremy, that remains to be seen, and it may not happen anytime soon. One factor in this is a request for admissions filed on a Florida case. Zion Williamson seems to be challenging the jurisdiction of Florida in this case, and that has to be settled before any of this plays out. But when you talk about a request for admissions, it's basically one side coming to another and say, admit to the truth of this thing or not, so we can streamline this case and move on. And I think his team, much as Mark indicated, is going to look at this if they do have to fight this and simply say, hey, we want that request for admissions thrown out, because that's not relevant to their breach of contract case in Florida. And not only that, it's not supposed to be, in their opinion, if they're making the argument, a fishing expedition, something where you're trying to embarrass or get something scandalous out there about somebody in order to force them to answer a question. And when you think about it, if he, for some reason, took a benefit and lies about it under oath in this kind of request, then he could be looking at a perjury charge, or he himself in this suit. So I think they're going to argue they want to get this tossed out as their best move to try to make sure he never has to answer these questions.
Ryan, if the original representation deal between Zion Williamson and Gina Ford turns out to be invalid under North Carolina law, does that mean she doesn't have a case at all against CAA?
Well, there's a lot of ifs to that answer, and the first part is we're assuming that the Florida case has gone away and this becomes solely a North Carolina case. But if, in fact, this contract was never valid, if they rule, for example, as Zion's lawyers claim, that she wasn't registered properly as an NBA agent or an agent in North Carolina, or for that matter, didn't have that proper warning in there about ineligibility in the contract, those are the claims, then this contract, if a judge rules that, this contract would essentially be null and void.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.